Well, Cary, I see that you're here, but I don't hear you yet. Can you hear us okay?
Yeah.
Oh, there you are. Well, His Excellency Cary Goulston, His Excellency Ambassador Shola Agboola, and Andrew Williams Jr. here. I'm so happy to connect you together.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you, Cary?
I'm good, thank you. Running around for my life, but I'm good.
Well, Cary, I've done my best to do an introduction by email to you of Shola Agboola and the work that we've been doing. And I did explain to him the work that you've been doing and connecting our energies together through this facility in Lagos, Nigeria would be one good way. But we do have a project right now. Unfortunately, Shola Agboola yesterday had to turn down $7 million worth of donations because this time we couldn't come up with $20,000 needed for the freight. Last year, I was able to contribute $500 myself to his project. But this year, as you know, my project in the Philippines has got me snowed under. So we hate to just turn down $7 million worth of material, but I thought it might be something to have a conversation with you about, Cary.
Okay, so let me just make sure. I mean, I didn't have a lot of time since I just saw that this morning, actually. And I run a couple different, I actually run several different enterprises, companies. So I was running around all this morning. So I didn't really have a time. I saw it and I didn't really get a chance to study up on it. I did look at the pictures. I mean, I scanned them a little bit of time to try to familiarize myself, but I really don't know enough about it.
Great. Well, Shola, you take this opportunity to introduce yourself, SAGA Foundation, and bring Cary up to date, please.
Yeah, thank you very much for the introduction, Ambassador Andrew. Cary, it is such a pleasure to meet with you.
Thank you.
I've been in LA several years ago where I met up with Ambassador Andrew, with several others in promotion of some of the humanitarian activities that we were doing in Nigeria and other African countries, so to speak. For the past 8 years, going to 9 years now, we've done over 260 million worth of hospital equipment donation in different parts of Nigeria, as well and in other countries as well. In Kenya, in India, with anytime where there's a humanitarian crisis, where there's poverty, where there's need for humanitarian things. And how do we do that? Through our partnership with the Canadian government here and through the registration of our NGO. So for 8 years, I was the president of a well-known international organization called Nigerian Association for Young Adults of Canada, NIA. So I was leading that organization for 8 years, and within that 8 years period, that was what we did. So when I finished my term as the president, the organization did not continue with that humanitarian effort. Why? Because it's self-sponsored. It is basically the government give us these millions of dollars worth of hospital equipment, but we have to come up with the funding to ship it to wherever it's going, to clear it and do all of that. So that becomes very huge task for most of the people. So I do it out of passion. So in order not to stop the good relationship and the trust we have built with the government, I started my own foundation, which is SAGA Foundation, Shola Agboola Goodwill Ambassador Foundation. We have a website and everything. Ambassador Andrew can send it to you. And
yes, I saw that.
Yeah. So
Great.
With that, I continue with the vision of making sure that we reach out to developing nations. So since SAGA Foundation was launched in Lagos in 2020, we have an office space in Lagos, and I've done, during COVID, we did humanitarian assistance to widows, to women, to children. We gave them foodstuff and everything during the pandemic when everything was locked down. And it was done through, as Ambassador Andrew said, through, people that we've built trust together over the number of years, 1,000 there, 2,000 there, we put it together, we buy foodstuff, we give it to widows and all of that. So in 2021, we shipped a whole container of $7.3 million of hospital equipment to India during the COVID crisis. As you know, people were literally just dying on the street in India. So they needed oxygen concentrators, they needed a whole lot of things. So I was able to get a 40-feet container filled with hospital equipment with all those and donate it for free to India. So this year, we just shipped one to Nigeria as well, which I'll be traveling in just about a week to do the handover to the local churches and traditional rulers, to the hospitals and all of that. So while I was making preparation for it, the government called me that they have excess load of hospital equipment, brand new oxygen concentrators. And if I would like to ship another container. But again, like I said, it was difficult coming up with almost about $20,000 every now and then out of our own pocket. So the last one we did, Ambassador Andrew was contributed, a whole lot of other friends and families and stuff like that. So it's becoming not sustainable anymore for an individual person just because of your passion for humanity to be self-sponsoring those kind of things, especially when there's no business stream where you can be able to recoup those kind of money, or perhaps, they're able to have social enterprises that can make you make some money and use it for humanitarian purposes. So that's where we are right now. I was just about traveling to Nigeria, and I called him last night and said, okay, I'm going there to do the launching. I want you to participate virtually in the launching, and all the community are going to be there. We're going to hand it over, and I bring the report back to the Canadian government to say the hospital equipment donated to SAGA Foundation has been adequately, deployed and supplied to the people that need it, completely free of charge. So we were just having that conversation when he decided that, oh, you know what, maybe we can talk to someone who can further be in our network, and maybe perhaps we can continue with this good humanitarian mission that we're doing all across the world.
Good explanation.
Thank you.
Yeah, your English is excellent.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
So much.
And I got a very clear concept of what you're talking about. So you explained it very well.
Right.
So let me ask you a question. And then I'm just, as you're talking, I'm trying to, when people talk to me, I look at the whole circumstance and the moving parts, this over here and that over there. And then how we want to get it over here, and how do we get it over here from over there, and what's the value in exchange? So while you're talking, I'm actually analyzing the schematic of the situation, meaning how this is going to go from one point to another. But I do have a question. One, so you're working with the government. Is that the Ministry of something, or what unit of the government of Canada is that?
Good question. We work with the Manitoba healthcare sector. So
What is that word? I didn't get that word. Manitoba what?
We work with Winnipeg Health Authority.
X?
No, S.
Health,
Winnipeg
H-E-A-L-T-H.
Yeah.
Health, H-E-A-L-T-H. The Winnipeg
Health.
Health
Health Authority.
Authority.
So is that part of the Ministry of Health? Or
Yeah,
Ministry?
that's a government entity for the Ministry of Health. Then we also work with an NGO, an internationally registered NGO called International Hope Canada.
Hope, H-O-P-E.
Yeah, Hope, H-O-P-E. Yeah. They also have a website. You can see it all over. So,
and so is that organization part of the people that got these medical equipment donated?
Yes. So what happened is the hospital, we have different government hospitals in Canada. The hospitals, once they have a gently used equipment that
What was that word you said? You said a word, gently used? What was that
Yes.
word?
Yes, gently used, like
So it's not damaged. It
it's
just
not
used a
damaged.
little bit. It's
Exactly,
just-
exactly.
I got
So
it.
when they have this gently used hospital equipment that has to be replaced either through government budgets, either through federal government or whatever, instead of taking all those equipment and taking it to the landfill, they contact IHC, which is International Hope Canada. They contact this charity organization and say, we have 100 beds and three X-ray machines, 10 incubators, and all those kind of things that we needed to. So they have a huge warehouse. The International Hope collect all these equipment, is a well-established functioning charity organization. They collect all this equipment. They have their technician, they have their lab, they have doctors, they have all of that. So they go through all this equipment to make sure it's functioning well. It meets the standard of operation in any country that we want to take it to. That they contact myself and say, Shola, we now have an equipment that can fill 40-feet container. So now do you want to take this container, and which country do you want to take it to? So that's how it kind of works. So they call me up, I go there, we do the inspection, we contact whichever country we're taking it to and say, this is the list of equipment that we have ready to be shipped. So is this something that you know you have the expertise to be able to operate very efficiently when it gets there? And also we communicate back and forth, and once we answer and we cross all the T's and dot all the I's, then we give them the go ahead to do the shipment. And that's how the collaboration works.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Now, Cary, let me say that it's your relationship with the governments in Bangladesh, India, Nigeria, and other locations that could make this a turnkey operation where the governments themselves can be the ones to pay for the freight, but be handled through your relationship. So that doesn't take money out of our pocket, but it does provide these very needed services to underserved communities. And it's a good public relations for everybody involved.
Without a doubt, it sounds like a really good opportunity to help people. So here's my question. Can I ask you a couple questions, Ambassador? Just
Absolutely.
a couple questions.
Absolutely.
All right. One, why don't they use those materials elsewhere in the country that is in need? Why don't they just use those equipment somewhere that doesn't have as much equipment? Why aren't they using that? Why are they just wanting to ship it out of the country? It sounds like a lot of valuable equipment. I mean, it can't be, I just have trouble understanding that point, that this medical equipment is so outmoded and outdated that they're just going to send it out to some country. And all you have to do is take, they must, maybe medically, they're upgrading their whole country. If that's the case, they're going to upgrade the whole country and all of this different equipment, the beds, the X-ray machines. They're just doing a full upgrading, or is there some? I just get curious. How are they benefiting from getting rid of $7 million of medical equipment? They don't get any money for it. How are they benefiting from that? It just comes across a little bit as I don't even understand how they could even do that.
You are absolutely right. What happened is many equipments in Canadian hospitals. As you know, Canada, part of the G7, part of the wealthier nations of the world and what have you. So they place a very huge pride on their quality of healthcare delivery. So what happens is once government upgrades anything, or there's a new technology, and you know how technology is kind of like almost, once new technology comes up, I remember even within the last how many years, how people with diabetes that you have to poke their hands, small blood comes out, you put it, all those things are changing so rapidly. So what happened is at any time when there's new innovation in either technology, hospital equipment, and what have you, the government approves. Once they approve that and they say, we're not using this old stuff anymore, we're using the new technology, this is the new thing, it almost become obsolete in Canadian healthcare system, even though that is still well-functioning equipment. And you have huge amount of, let me say, syringes or gowns or everything that have been shipped into an hospital but was not used. But at the end of the year, the expiration date on those boxes says 2022. Even though it's clothing, it's gone can expire. But because the expiration says 2022, the government has to pretty much, they have a budget for the new guns that has to be brought in. Then they have to get rid of that to make space and do. So all those things are not spoiled, they are usable, but it is still against the Canadian healthcare policy for them to use something that I've said expired. But in developing nation, this is treasure because they are so poor that they can't even avoid to, So that is sort of the only way I can explain, because
it makes sense.
When I started, it was difficult. When I started, asked Ambassador Andrew, some people would think this is a scam. How can you even be donating this for? We need to know this is a scam. And they began to look at it 8 years consistently. If you put my name on Google right now, just write Shola Agboola, you will see numerous articles and everything that we've donated all over the number of years that we've done it.
Nice.
So that's pretty much the way it is.
Okay. All right. So I do have quite a few, by the way, partnerships with maybe 10 or 12 governments right now.
Okay.
Including Guinea, Mali, including Nigeria, including Ghana, Kenya, Uganda, Pakistan, Nepal. The list goes on and on and on. My question is, we're having actually meetings almost every week now with different government agencies. My question is, because we're basically, what we do is we improve education around the world. Our humanitarian programs are very much grassroots. We're doing everything from training teachers and students on common sense principles to lower crime, lower violence, lower drug use, improve education literacy, ability to read and study, improving education literacy at the lowest levels and all the way up into universities. That's very much what we're doing. And therefore, because of our effectiveness of our materials, our videos, the effectiveness of the training, we teach people even to read and write in 6 weeks. We can teach almost anybody. We go into prisons. We can take almost anyone and improve their ability to learn and their ability to gain skills through application of what they're studying. I'm not meant to just blow my own horn. I'm saying that's what we're doing. That's exactly what we're doing. we're lowering violence and crime in every single area that we're working with. Therefore, we've been able to develop some very important contact points in high places in like Brazil or Paraguay and different countries. So therefore, it is an amazing thing when you can tell some country that you can supply them with this complimentary gift. Is amazing. And I think it's going to be really good. It must be really good for your organization to be able to do that, to be able to provide so much help to so many areas that are underprivileged. And most of the world, by the way, lives on $1 to $2 a day. Most of the world is in poverty conditions. So I'm sure it's a very great benefit that they can look to you as an organization to do something very positive. In fact, I would imagine that capturing the arrival of these materials in a given country, showing them being used in the hospitals, getting back some kind of recognition and thank you from the government on their letterhead is probably very, very, very important to show that you are indeed in a world of criminality and corruption, that you are indeed who you say you are, a genuine organization that's not looking. I mean, obviously it's important to get paid to survive. You have to have energy. You can't drive a car on air. You can't eat nothing. You have to survive. In today's world, though, people take advantage of situations and they make for a very suspicious, untrusting governments, untrusting donors, people that support these humanitarian groups, scams, when they're, there's like false humanitarian things. Hey, we're here to help you. And then they steal your oil. Hey, we're here to help you. And they walk away with all your ivory. There's been a lot of corrupt people when it comes to the subject of helping. And therefore, maybe not even myself, because I just like to understand things. I'm not asking because you come very highly recommended. So that alone for me is beyond question who you are, what you do. I don't have a question about that. But I think on behalf of whoever I'm going to set this up for and get a government to pay for the shipping and so forth, they're probably going to want to know where this is coming from and how they're able to do that. These are your more practical, like, how are you able to even do that? Like, why would anybody do that? Why would anybody do that? So these questions are legitimate. And I think you've satisfied my question.
Cary?
I'm just getting 1 second. Let me just get my thoughts together real quick. Let me just make sure I had another question. I have a question for you. One more question, Ambassador Shola. You're still there, right?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, good. I have another question. How does are you a nonprofit, your organization? Are you a nonprofit organization? Good. How do you, maybe you have another job or maybe there's certain things, but how do you keep your organization operating and expanding? Is there a way that doing this goodwill action for Canada or for whoever you're doing that for, is there any kind of exchange that your nonprofit gets for the work that you're doing?
Yeah, good question. At the beginning, it was primarily driven by passion. I don't know if I ever told you why I do this, and I think on a number of different international award organization, I got so many awards, 100 of it. If you look at my people everywhere,
Look at that.
So I just got the Mahatma Gandhi Center of Canada's award in October from India Organization of Canada in October of last year. with so many dignitaries from United Nations, from an ambassador and all of that.
Beautiful. That's awesome.
Initially, my passion was driven by the story of my life. I came from abject poverty. I grew up in Nigeria with very unlettered parents who have no education, nothing whatsoever. So growing up in such an environment, and I lost my father when I was 13 years old. And what happened was, in Nigeria, when you go to school, if you don't, there's no free education in Nigeria whatsoever. So whether you go to kindergarten, you go to elementary school, you go to high school, university, you have to pay. So when I was in grade 5, my father or my parents could not pay for my school fee. So I was driven out of school. So I was told I could not come back to school until I pay for the school or for the school fee. So I told my dad that I really want to be educated, and I cannot be the only child being driven out of school for that. Otherwise, if he doesn't pay my school fee, I remember very vividly at 13 years old, I was threatening my father that I'm going to kill myself if you don't find money to send me back to school. He was like, no, why would you do that? So I remember he went out to look for a job, and he said, I will look for money whichever way to make sure I send you back to school. In the course that evening in 1986, he went out, and on his way coming back, he had a very terrible accident. His leg, he wounded his leg, he put his leg on a nail, like the big nail that they use for constructions. He went to go, do manual works at a construction site. He stepped on a nail, the nail pierced his leg up through to the top. So it was very difficult, it was bleeding and everything. They took care of it. He was able to be paid. He gave me the money. I went back to school. So I was fine. Not knowing to me that the leg that he had accident with was not properly taken care of. He did not go to hospital because there was no money to go to hospital. So
wow.
Leg got infected by tetanus. So when the leg got infected, they rushed him to the hospital. They told my mom they needed a tetanus injection. You should go, and obviously when you go to hospital in Nigeria, even if it is before a doctor can see you, you have to pay. When a doctor sees you, you have to pay. To go buy any prescription, you have to pay. So my mom did not have the money. So she started going from family, friends, and everything. Within 2 days, it took her almost about 48 hours or 72 hours to be able to gather the money, which is, when I look at it today, is 75 cents. The value of that money she was looking all around for. It's not even up to $1 in 1986. In the process of looking for that, my father died. So when she came back, and she brought the tetanus injection, they said it was too late, this man has passed. So I wasn't able to forgive myself for a very, very long time, thinking that it was because I threatened this man that if he doesn't pay, that was why he went out that night. So I carried that burden for so long until I was able to find myself in Canada. So when I became empowered and I got a government job, I worked with the Justice Department, by the way. I worked with the government of Manitoba as a full-time correctional officer. I work in the law enforcement. So when I got involved in the Canadian society, I was able to see how to transform some of your pain into a passion. And that was why I decided to go into humanitarian medical empowerment, to make sure nobody ever goes through what I went through because of 75 cent tetanus injection. So that was the passion of how I went into this. along the line, it was becoming super expensive to do. I can't do it all by myself. I have to be looking for money. Whenever they call on me that equipment is ready, then I have to start looking for money to get it. So that was when I started connecting with people like Ambassador Andrew, you know, friends who believe in what I'm doing. They chip in $100, $800, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. And that's how we've been doing it for a number of years. Now, when we do it, because it was given by the Canadian government free of charge, and for me to maintain my integrity, to maintain the honesty that was bestowed on me by the government, I have to make sure all these things are donated free of charge. So I could not ask for anything from whoever the beneficiary of this thing. But what I was thinking at the time was, perhaps there would be some kind of a good business opportunity in a country like Nigeria or Ghana or India, where we can possibly, in addition to do humanitarian work, there could be some social enterprises opportunity for, you know, contract, or for, let's say, a company that does clothing wants to move to Nigeria, or franchise. Then, because we liaise with top government officials, somebody like myself can be able to break those kind of deals, and there could be some stream of economic benefits that we can reinvest in the humanitarian endeavor. That was how I've always thought the thing is going to turn out. But 9 to 10 years of doing it, that hasn't still built any kind of business opportunity or anything like that. So, and that's where we are. But I just wanted to tell you the story so that you understand what is driving me, even though we've not been able to get anything in return. But there's always that anticipation that a government might say, oh, Shola, you supply all these things or whatever. We are looking for investors on mining, on this. If you can find that, you're going to get we can donate 20% of the profit to your organization. Then that way, I'm not going to be using my own money to fund these humanitarian activities. So that has always been what the hope or the aspiration has always been. So, and other than, you know, other opportunities, I've been given a standing ovation in the Parliament of Canada. I think Ambassador Andrew has the video. I'm not sure if you have the video. I've gotten a lot of award from government, from organizations all around the world. So that's how always been the fulfillment in, you know, driving me to continue to do it.
Well, first of all, let me say this. I am completely appreciative of you and all you're doing. I am very, very appreciative of all you're doing.
Thank you.
You are truly, truly a great humanitarian and a great person.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And it's awesome. In fact, you are the kind of person that I love working with.
Thank you.
People that are genuine, people that are there because they have a big heart. I mean, obviously in today's world, you also have to be practical, but the most important thing is if you have integrity and you have some honesty and your purpose is in a very good place, like you have a very high purpose. You're not just money motivated, but at the same time, you are creating resources and opportunity. And that by itself is a kind of a business mind combined with a humanitarian mind, you know, is a beautiful thing. And so I want to just say this, and then I have a question. And I really appreciate you taking the time. I think that something great may come from this relationship. And I'm very appreciative for Andrew for bringing us together. I want to just say this, that you may not know this yet. but you are the perfect leader. And I mean that sincerely. You are the perfect leader. A great leader it's an important word, but it's also a word that has had very bad connection from the bad leadership we've experienced. The word leadership has gotten a very bad name because of some evilly corrupted people who do not look out for the greater good of the people, who do not look out for. You're not crying, are you? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
We get so little appreciation for what we do, Cary.
Yeah. All right. Well, I want to call it like I see it, and so I'm going to call it exactly like I see it. You are absolutely all of the characteristics that make up a great leader. That's no question in my mind right this now. I don't even know you that well, but I know enough about great leadership. I teach leadership. I teach the educators. I teach government. I have been involved for a long time, and I can promise you that there are few people that exemplify that are demonstrating the qualities required for great leadership. And those qualities include organization, humanitarianism, being a humanitarian, caring for the people from the bottom to the top, from the orphans to the politicians. That great leader is an organizer. That great leader is somebody who steps up for a cause. A great leader has a cause. It's called, you have different kinds of motivation. You have money motivation at the bottom, and at the very top, you have what's called duty. It is our duty to do something, and that's at the very high end of what we call a motivation scale. Money is at the bottom. What motivates people is money. What motivates people is personal experience. You have personal conviction. You had a very bad experience, and you use that experience to make sure other people don't experience the same thing. That is what's called personal conviction. And if you know that your purpose and what you're doing is the right thing and it's a clean purpose, you will be that much more effective. Few people know what they're trying to do in life. Few people have a strong purpose. Few people have conviction. Many are called, few are chosen. For whatever reason, the gods of infinity, whoever and whatever, for whatever reason, few are chosen, many are called. And when I see that special person, that bright, shiny star in the sky, in the sea of maybe not a lot of not good situations that we're surrounded by, sex trafficking, corruption, drugs, illiteracy, poor education, poverty, you name it, we're surrounded by it, from US to everywhere, from Bolivia to the US, doesn't matter. It's still the same underlying problems. And then over centuries and over lifetimes, a few people have stood the test of time and have continued to carry the torch for freedom, for mankind and womankind, for the betterment of civilization, speaking up for those who cannot speak up for themselves. You have a few people that carry the torch through eons and eons of degradation, societies degraded, war, treating women like they're nothing. All of these things that we see is still the same thing. Insanity, etc. It's still the same thing. but yet a few people step out from the group and they kind of stand above or behind the group. And somehow over the ages, those people have managed to maintain that their true identity and let that identity shine in the face of degradation, in the face of failing humanity. And there's still a few people on planet Earth that have a driving passion to save mankind from himself in any way possible, and use their personal conviction and their personal experience to drive them. Whatever your reason, at the end of the day, when we're all lying on our deathbed about to go to the next life, we're all saying the same thing. Was my life worth it? Did I make it count? Could I do it all over again? What would I do? We're all saying the same thing, which is, did I make a difference? And the regret and the guilt is that I did not make a difference, or I did do everything I could, and I stood for the greater good. And only really, honestly, and I'll be very, very blunt, most of the people are not big enough as beings, as spiritual entities, whatever you want to call it. It's a fact of life that most people, because of what's happened to us down through the ages, cannot reach out enough and see mankind and figure out the solutions to bring man up. But there are enough of us, and those enough of us is called 1% of 1%. It's basically roughly about 25,000 people that can and do any kind of real leadership. It's a sad state of affairs, and what is one way to look at it. But another way to look at it is it's the harsh, cold reality that most people are caught up in the noise and the mental anguish and the trauma and the problems. They're caught up in it and meshed into it and cannot stand 3 feet back of society to direct it and to move it, because you cannot move something if you're stuck in it.
Yes.
You cannot even see any kind of future for it, and you cannot envision any kind of future for it if you are stuck in it. You have to be exterior to the problem to handle the problem. That is your inventor. That is your scientist. That is your artist. That is your person, your leader. And I will tell you this because I am amongst friends, so I will not hold back. And this will make sense to you. I'm sorry to do this, but I have to do it. It's Andrew's fault. If anything of this doesn't come across right, blame Andrew. It is his fault. All right, here it is. And you will understand this, and you can easily understand this. And even if part of it makes sense, that's all that counts. We were sent to this planet, prisoners, criminals, executives, artists, non-conforming pirates, and individuals who would not agree, who would not be slaves. These nonconformists, these artists, these people who would refuse to be a slave, hypothetically, we're sent to this planet, a prison planet, to sort it out and figure out our way out of the traps of yesteryear. There's no guards at the door, but here we are stuck inside of what's called a meat body, a chicken. We're stuck inside of this physical stuff, bones, skin, hair, with all kinds of disabilities and issues. We were stuck inside of this piece of meat, an actual entity with unlimited capability was shoved inside of a very small thing with no memory of our past. And apparently a loss of that power and capability that every once in a while you go, wow, I did that. Wow, that I have that inside of me. Wow, I perceive something that other people don't see. Wow, there's something more to me than anybody ever taught me or told me. Wow, there's something going on that's just slightly beyond what the schools are talking to us about and what our parents are talking to about. Wow, there's something more to me than anybody ever let me know. Wow, like what the hell is going on? And we were sent here to work our way out of a paper bag. And I'll tell you what, part of the agenda of not good beings sorry, part of the agenda was to make us fight each other. So we would not band together because that would be much too powerful. So one, if you trap a being inside of a thing and make him think he is the thing, if I put you inside of a little car and you stayed there your whole life, you would feel every bump, you would feel every flat tire, you would feel that you're running out of gas, you would feel every single component of that car. You would become the thing you are in. And that's the basic science behind what I'm talking about. If you can take an ultimately powerful entity and trap that person because he knows too much and he's too powerful, and you stick him inside of a car or a doll or a thing, and then make the person think he is the thing he is inside of. There's your trick right there. To convince the person that he's nothing more than a manageable animal. And guess what has happened to this planet? People have been convinced that they are a piece of meat, that they are a thing, that they are an object, and that they are a victim of circumstances, and that they are a effect of their environment, and they must adjust to their environment instead of adjusting their environment to them.
Which is what Shola has demonstrated, as have you, Cary.
Thank you. So this was just a little information I wanted to share with you along my, there are sources of this information, and we can get into that someday. There is sources of this information. I didn't just come out of this, I didn't just become a free being from drinking the special water that we have here that's filtered, and certain vitamins and a diet that I'm on that allowed me to have massive, ridiculous realizations about where I am, who I am, and bringing to life the capabilities that lie within each one of us. But the fact remains, I'm almost done, Andrew, don't worry, hang in there. The fact remains that you have unlimited capability. And as a leader of planet Earth and a person that's making things happen and a driving force for survival, I believe it's very, very important that we band together, support each other, share the power and resources that we have in every possible way or in ways that we can. leaders must band together. And I think that's where we'll win back this planet and this civilization. We will win it back on the backs of a few desperate men and women. And a great philosopher named L. Ron Hubbard said that. I learned a lot of what I'm telling you from that great philosopher, engineer, and humanitarian. And that's a subject for another day. The moral of the story is that this power and ability to move the earth in the direction we need to move it in lies within each one of us. And separated and fighting each other, we're much more vulnerable and much less effective. So that being said, I just felt like it was my duty to remind you who you are and that you are needed. You are important. Nobody will tell you what I told you, or maybe some people would tell you, but I don't think people generally would recognize you for who you are and tell you what I believe you should hear, is that you should be supported. If we have more people like you, the world would be a much better place. We know that. So in the meantime, I applaud you for your humanitarian purpose. And let me add one more thing and then I'll shut up. It would be great now getting to what matters to hand and coming up with $20,000 for shipping and getting this being used by a correct country that will make the best of it, won't just put it in storage. So because once that hits the ground, it's going to be, we want photos of you guys using it. We want letters of recognition. We want some things in exchange so that we can keep carrying on with the efforts that we're making. We're the intermediary. Good, we're an intermediary. We're moving this from here and there, but we will require certain things from the other end. On our behalf. One, it shows that it was a real good exchange and that they're really using it. We need to see that. That's why the photos and the videos and the thank yous and the letters from the government, all this stuff is very important. So lastly, I just want to say it'd be great if I had an inventory. And then what I want to do is I'm gonna work out having a meeting with the best prospective government agency that would appreciate and utilize this to the best possible ability. And I'll start with your home country, Nigeria. All right. I'll start with your home country because we're working with the Ministry of Education. We have some very awesome, we just did a Zoom call 2 months ago with the Ministry of Education in Abuja. So we're very well thought of, and we have a great connection with several parts of Nigeria, including Jos Plateau, which we've been working with, including the military and so forth with our humanitarian programs. And we also have been working in Lagos. We have a group there. We trained close to 50,000 students in Lagos last year. Enugu. And we also have a team in Enugu, that area, like another part. I forgot what the area is. I think it's Enugu. And
so Eastern part.
Yeah, so we'll start with that and work those connections over, and hopefully I can have something one, it would be great to have a list of what's there because they'll be asked, and two, 20,000 would cover the shipping, you say?
Yeah, we cover the shipping and the loading here to get all the shipping and the loading done because it's mostly loaded. I think I sent a video of the loading to Ambassador Andrew.
I saw. I saw that.
Professional because of how the equipment are. So that will cover the shipping and the handling here. Then once it gets to Nigeria or wherever it's going to, because the government is aware that they can take care of how the clearing is going
they have to handle that. They have to take responsibility. Believe me, I know all about the shipping. They have to make sure that when no more money is asked for, And we're going to get that in writing. There's not going to be any guesswork about that. It's going to be from the government, and it's going to be when that stuff arrives, nobody's wasting $7 million of equipment, that we are not going to be asked for duties or taxes. It's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. So believe me, I've had that happen. We're in the business of shipping thousands and thousands of books to different countries for our training program. And every once in a while, somebody go, oh, we need another $2,000. And it's like, no, that's not going to happen.
Exactly. That's what happens.
So that way, in that way, you're in good hands. So my mission would be get the government contact agreement in writing. They handle everything at their end. And then they also part of the agreement is that we get evidence of using the materials so that nothing is sitting in storage somewhere or resold for profit,
yes,
which would violate the whole purpose of the project.
Yes.
So I automatically understand that people would go, oh, good, we could just resell it. That's not the idea. If we wanted to resell it, we would have done that already. So the idea is that you agree that you're going to use it, and then you're going to send us video and photos of operations with the equipment, and a letter of recognition and thank you. Any kind of feedback like that is definitely going to help the whole activity. Like a thank you to your organization is required.
Absolutely.
You know, from ideally, we're talking to the Minister of Health. That would be really the ideal situation. We are working with the Ministry of Energy in Bangladesh, but I don't want to start with that. I want to start with Nigeria and then take it from there. We do have a last month written partnership and approval from the Mali government and the Guinea government. Okay. So we do have other options. And we'll do a Zoom call with that minister or whoever the government representative is. So I'm sure you all will be included. So we get a lot of confidence on who's involved and that it's going to happen in the right way. But I understand there's probably a time thing. So I just have to get busy with a couple, setting up a couple of meetings, and then we'll take it from there.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Ambassador Hand.
Yes, just in closing, I do want to say that this is a realization, Gary, of the commitment I made to Shola when we first met, and I think it's 2017, yes, because at that time he was telling me that one of the challenges was making sure that the equipment that was actually delivered was not just maintained, but actually used for the benefit of the community. What I'm believing is that we can use this as a kind of docu-reality series of having these people to document what usage that we're doing. This will be actually the second project for the SAGA Foundation. Shola has been doing this so far for the first since 2013 under the Nigerian Association of Young Adults in Canada. But I suggested that he set up his own organization, which has become the SAGA Foundation, to be able to make sure we continue to deliver his vision even after his termination of his agreement with the previous organization. So we don't have to worry about him being replaced. This is Shola Agboola, and it's important that we do publicity about this relationship with the global pioneers, because we want to take this opportunity to make sure our good work are well publicized. That's my thought.
You know what? Man, I'll tell you what, it's such a wonderful, you guys are awesome. Really, you guys are awesome. So two things real quick. One, Ambassador Shola, do you get involved with not just medical equipment? Are you a source for other kinds of equipment or computers or are you a source for, let's say a multinational company is getting rid of all the computers and we want to use that for a school that we're opening in some country and we need computers. Is that something you do, like as an example?
We've done quite a large quantity supply of computers to different schools in Nigeria as well. I would say we've done thousands and thousands of free laptops and desktop computers in different schools all across Nigeria. But what happened is, for the laptop and books and all of that is primarily dependent on the university. We have 3 different universities that actually supply us: University of Manitoba, University of Winnipeg, and Brandon University. So, but I would say it doesn't come as often as the medical one. It might be once in every 5 years, once in every 3 years, so to speak. But medical,
but you get different things, right? I'm sorry, but you get different things. Like, you don't just do one thing. Like, you are a resource for different kinds of humanitarian.
Yeah, exactly. For what for the purpose of the non-profit organization, we do all of that. I think if you go to the NIA, Ambassador Andrew, I think you have the NIA website with you. You can share that with me, with Cary. So we have different computers that I've bought. Is not as often. We don't get it as often as the medical one is almost every year. But laptops might be once every 3 years or once every 5 years.
Okay, I'm really excited. Let me just tell you briefly how this collaboration might really turn into something really beyond your wildest dreams. Last year, for example, we trained 25,000 teachers. Right now, we're actually moving into, we're in well over 25,000 schools now. What we're now working on is upgrading education internationally with advanced education technology. What I'm saying is that these education systems that are put in place by governments is archaic and barbaric. Mm-hmm. And produces criminals and illiterates and people that are not handling life well. Therefore, 3 out of every 4 people on the planet live on $1 to $2 a day. That is indicative of archaic, old, unworkable education systems. Parents are not equipped and schools are not equipped to provide enough of the tools to set people up to handle life properly. That's exactly what we're doing right now in the millions. So that's why we're working so closely, and it's so needed. These governments are so open. We're getting letters of partnership, one after the other, after another, after another. It's not PR. I'm not PRing you. I'm telling you, it's a hard, cold fact. When you train these teachers, what you're finding out in Pakistan, what you're finding out in Nepal, what you're finding out in Nigeria is the same bloody thing. They are not, it's the blind leading the blind. The education system is flawed. It has holes in it. And we are bringing in new tools and educational technology, including how to make good choices, moral principles, common sense, moral principles. We had 13 million crimes in the United States last year. 75% are committed by teenagers, 12 to 19 years old. So therefore, people are graduating high school and going into college with unethical lifestyle, with drugs, with sex, they can't study, they have problems. They had 2 million divorces in the United States last year. That's 50% of all marriages in one of the most powerful countries in the world. 50% of all marriages end in divorce. That's broken homes. That's ruined lives. That's not people who know how to survive. I'm just telling you that there's a potential partnership here that would be a win-win situation. Because at the end of the day, every problem we all have comes back down to children out of control, teenagers out of control, and parents who can't handle them, and schools that can't put them in a position where they can survive. Meaning, we educate people, every country, so they can become professional. they can have a good family, they can run a business, they can be a professional in a subject, they have skill. We're setting people up, apparently we're supposed to, at least that's what we're supposed to, is to be able to prosper in life. And few make it, many do fairly well. Although we're not handling the violence and war, which could end this planet. We still have war in 2023.
Mhm.
So you look at the advanced technology, fine, but humanity has not evolved at the same level of technology, and therefore man cannot handle himself.
Mhm.
He cannot even handle his wealth. He cannot handle his success. You look at all the celebrities that are out of control with sex and drugs. You look at the average movie promoting sex and drugs. Look at the schools putting children on drugs.
So your
So,
suggestion?
yeah, that's what I'm saying, is that's what we're doing as a group, is bringing in this knowledge and tools to upgrade education by training, working as a partnership with government, and then training the educators and training the students on common sense and how to learn and how to study and how to, we have all of that.
Mm.
If I walked you through those materials, you would blow your mind.
Mm.
And you haven't seen the materials yet, and I haven't seen your hospital equipment yet. But I promise you, it is real.
Good.
And therefore, when you have the answers to a downgraded, degraded, collapsing society, it's now a race against time on how fast we can bring these societies up. And therefore, this partnership could be quite interesting in that we're opening new facilities in different countries. People are giving us land to open new schools. We're partnering to upgrade education country by country, but we do it with very little resources, almost no resources, just like you. You just have a purpose, and you have your intention and your desire and your willingness and your ingenuity and your mind to drive you. But we're very thin on resources. So that's why working together could be just a huge win-win situation. One, if somebody's making a donation and then we have videos and photos of 500,000 kids that are writing all the, like they're coming home and helping mommy and daddy, and they quit the gang and they stop taking drugs, and all these things are affected by a really wonderful education process. So anyway, that's my comments. I'm sorry I talked too much, but I just thought it was relevant and important because I see here potentiality.
Thank
Well,
you.
it's very relevant, Gary, but my point is that you began the conversation about how this could actually be a very win-win-win situation for all of us. And I believe that working with the Department of Education as you are, the Ministry of Education as you are, is something that we could certainly look forward to down the road, because as Shola says, every year we get stuff for hospitals. It might be next year or the year after for schools, but I believe he did indicate the organization he's working with, and we could perhaps make a request for that in relationship with Global Pioneers as a partner, asking for these specific, outcomes. And that's something we should think about as we go forward. That's doable, I believe.
Okay, it's a good idea.
I agree. Yeah, that's absolutely doable.
And we have other friends we have other friends with capabilities, like the person who's wanted us to join us today this is right up his alley. It's exactly what he does, which is, so we have certain friends that have specialties that are with us, that are humanitarians, and they very much care about the planet and care about the people. So people like yourself. So as we go forward and have more meetings and have other ideas for how, like, this is the number one thing, and I'll work on this for sure, like immediately. But as we go down the road and we have more meetings, there's other people in our group that have specialty, that have connections, My friend from Lagos, he brought me to the federal government. And so he's moved to the United States, but together we started bringing our technology to the Ministry of Education of Nigeria. So there are these kinds of people, wonderful, wonderful people. I mean, I just got off a Zoom call with a group called Cyber Smarties. It's the first social media for children that provides a safe platform. And they have 90,000 students in Ireland, and they've now branched out to 6 other countries. It's called Cyber Smarties. And we have these wonderful, wonderful partnerships that as we go forward, you'll get to know these and be able to take advantage of these connections. Because, I mean, we have a group that just came back from India, training the kids on how to read English. So we have a partnership that teaches kids how to speak English. Literacy partnership, another organization. So we have pretty good, really good connections here. And I think as we roll forward and we do more meetings, I do weekly webinars with all of our partnerships every Sunday, 10 o'clock. So I'll let you know as we have these. I think you're in Canada. What's your time zone right now? Are we on the same East Coast? Are you on East Coast or Manitoba West Pacific?
We're in the Central Standard Time, so it's 1 o'clock, 1:12 right now. I believe it should be in 2, and Ambassador Andrew is probably 11, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So
yeah. So I'm good. That's all I have to say. I don't. Yeah. Go ahead.
As you know, I'll be traveling to Nigeria very soon. Actually, next week. For the handover of the hospital equipment that we just recently concluded. So I'll be sending you some videos and pictures and some of the publicity that we are able to make out of there. But at least I am very, very grateful for this meeting. I think it's very, very productive. Is very worthwhile, and I really want to thank you for making this happen. And I also appreciate the very candid, detailed explanation from Cary. You know,
I know that was like I normally don't talk like that.
I learned a lot from that, and I'm really very grateful for this. So, Ambassador Andrew, just keep it.
Yes, sir.
As you know, I move around a lot. I travel a lot. You know that as well. So please keep me posted on the takeaway from this meeting and the action plan and the to-do list and all those kind of stuff, and we can keep it going. And I will also keep in touch as well.
All right. Thank you both so much. I love
Excellent.
you.
Great meeting. Great meeting today. It was really nice to meet you, Ambassador. And thank you so much, Andrew. It's a really great meeting. I'm very excited, and I'll get to work at my end trying to get this shipment into play.
Thank you
Excellent.
so much.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Any questions you have, just inbox me or WhatsApp me, and I'll get them to Shola, and we can answer any questions you have.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Thank you so much. You take care.
Inventory list. Was that possible to get an inventory list?
Yes, although the next one, which Ambassador was actually telling you, I did reject because we're not sure of how to come up with a thing. So I will reach out and let them know that if that is not too late already, because it's highly competitive as well. Once Shola doesn't accept or SAGA doesn't accept, they give it to another Venezuela or another country or whatever. I'm going to ask. If that's gone, obviously, once the next one comes along, they get in touch with me, and that's when I get the list. It's very standard and similar. What I can do is to give you the one that I'm going to. When did we ship that one? We ship it in
November, I think.
October? Was it October or November?
October. Yeah, October. Yeah.
Around October or November, we shipped the last one. The inventory that I have for that one, I can send it to you just to give you an idea of. It's pretty standard, pretty similar.
Do we know if it's still available though, or that's the important thing? I wouldn't want to promote it and then it not be available, because I think that would not be good.
Yeah,
so Shola,
like I
you're-
did mention,
yeah.
I will reach out to them and say, because I will even share the letter. They literally, let me see, 1 second. I will share the letter that they sent to me, which was, let me see. That I will send you both of these letters. That's the letter from, that's the letter stating that the equipment was ready. That
Okay,
I, Shola, your application for container of medical supply for this. And this was my reply to them, declining it. This was my reply to them, declining it, that we do not have the fund available right now. So I will reach out to them and say, hey, don't, you know, you can still be considered if it's still available. That I can do.
If they could give us like a time frame, like give us a week or some kind of time frame where I don't want, you know, it would really not be good if I start contacting these governments and they say we want it, and then we find out we can't get it. That would, so it'd be better if we could say, hey, I'll give you guys 1 week or 2 weeks. We
Right.
want it. We want it. We definitely want the equipment. I think we can make it happen.
Okay, so I just sent it to you, Ambassador Andrew, to your WhatsApp.
okay,
And you can share with Cary to just see. So I will go back to them today and talk to them that there's a possibility that we might be able to come up with a shipping fee, and
That's right.
they should still literally consider. But this is the application for Nigeria. It now depends on where we want to take it to Nigeria. There are some specific area, but we can work on that later. And if this is going to be a very smooth opportunity that is continuous, I will literally tell them that they should not hesitate to call me as soon as any equipment becomes available. We have the contact to mobilize the resources.
We do have the contacts.
Okay,
We
so
definitely
I'll let
have
them
the
know
contacts.
I'll let them know
We
that.
yeah, we definitely have the contacts. No doubt
Okay,
about it.
sounds good. Sounds good.
And
Good
so-
job.
and-
Thank you so much.
and specifically when you contact them, ask them about educational and computer related equipment. I think that would be appropriate as well.
I will do that as well, and I will give you a feedback.
Excellent.
Wonderful,
Okay,
man. Great
thank
job.
you so much.
Thank you
Love
so
you
much.
both.
Okay, guys.
All right.
Hey, love you too, man. Thank you.